AJ Smith here, coming to you live. I just wanted to touch bases with you guys because I keep getting tons and tons of questions. Everyone wants to know, hey AJ, man, what do I have to do to get into the trucking industry? I want to start a trucking company. Where do I start? So today we're going to answer those questions and give you the essential tools you need to get started. Stay tuned. Here we are. How do we start trucking company 101? First step, business name. Rule number one, business name. In order to get started, you need to choose the business structure of your organization. So if you want to be a sole proprietorship, you want to be a partnership, or you want to be a limited liability company, it's your choice, but that's virtually the essence of any business that you want to start. Well, how are you going to form your structure your organization? Number two is getting your numbers. Now, when I say getting your numbers, that is everything that is involved in starting your company, from your EIN number, which is your tax identification number or your employee identification number to file taxes. And then you have your USDOT number as well as your MC number. Those are two separate numbers. Now, depending on the type of structure or the type of business that you're going to do, you can take advantage of what those two things offer. And then the third and final getting your number portion of it would be the BOC3. That's one of the first things that you hear about. I need a BOC3, and filling the form out is pretty simple. It's self-explanatory. You can do it yourself. Now, the only thing is you cannot be the agent for that form. You do need a third-party person who's going to do that for you. And essentially what they do is they're in charge of all 50 states or 48 states or wherever you operate. If they are any legal paperwork, they're the ones who get that paperwork on your behalf. They accept that paperwork on your behalf and send it over to you. So they act kind of as legal counsel on your behalf. Now let's move on to step three. Step would be getting a bank account. So obviously, in order to do business, you need a banking account, checking account, savings account, and a credit card account, or some type of way to build credit. You need to establish credit for your business. That's first and foremost. If you want to expand or if you're thinking about doing anything in the future, you want to always think ahead and prepare for that. So again, the checking account, self-explanatory. It's essential because any business transactions that go in and out of the company have to be accounted for. The best way to do that is through a checking account. Savings account is that added bonus. Again, for a trucking company, you may want to set up a savings account to transfer funds over there for a rainy day fund, or in case of emergency fund, or maintenance account fund, investment fund to expand the company, buy more trucks, whatever the case may be. But that's kind of the idea behind the savings account. And then again, the credit card account, you definitely want to start establishing credit. And if this is a trucking company, and let's say you have drivers out on the road, you got to start thinking, what are you going to do about fuel? How are they supposed to purchase fuel on the road? How do you trust them to purchase fuel on the road? So that credit card is something that you can monitor. You can set it to allow them to purchase certain things from a truck stop, and things of that nature. But it's more hands-on, more user-friendly, and it gives you more security over the car. So something to think about there. Again, that's step three: checking, savings, and a credit card account. Now, it's a 6-step process, so we're halfway there. Step 4 would be equipment. Equipment. What are the tools that you will need to get the job done? Let's talk about it. What are they? Again, it's a trucking company. You need a truck, tractor, you need a trailer. So what else do you need? Depending on the type of freight you'll be hauling, will you require a flatbed? Will you need straps and chains and binders? Wood, anything like that, lumbers. If it's a refrigerator, if it's a coal, you may need a reefer, refrigerator unit. You may need blocks, load locks, just, it depends on what it is, but you have to think about your equipment that you will need that requires you to get the job done. Second thing to think about that goes along with equipment would be location. It's a huge truck, so parking is an issue. Storage facility is an issue. Office space is an issue. These are all things that you need to consider when you're starting your company, or any other company for that matter. And then last but not least, communication. Laws continue to change. The guidelines continue to change. So communication, as far as the Federal Motor Carrier Safety, the FMCSA, as far as they are concerned, ELD is a must. It's mandatory. So you need to have electronic logging devices on board of your vehicles. Where are you going to get those devices from? How much are the services for those devices? How do you use those devices? Who's the customer support in the case that the device goes down while you're in the middle of a load? Things to think about, as well as phones, cell phones, GPS, computers, fax machines. You're running a business. You have to be able to stay in communication. You have to be able to send invoices. You have to be able to search for loads. All of these things count, and you must take consideration for those things. As that's step 4, we'll move on to step 5. Outside of equipment is employees. Again, who do you need for your operation to work? Obviously, if it's a trucking company, you're going to need a driver. Will they have a Class A? Will they have a Class B CDL license? Will they have any endorsements? All of those things must be considered in order to get certain freight or to move certain freight. Otherwise, you're limited to what you can do. Office clerk, who's doing paperwork? What about payroll and invoicing? Again, once you pick up from A and you go and deliver at B, you're out on the road. You don't have access to an office. So how do you get your next load at B, turn in the paperwork that's needed to get funded from that load, and begin your next venture, your next journey, your next load? Things to think about. Again, a mechanic. That's a big one. You may not think about it, but a mechanic, as far as PMs and oil changes, are very important. They're very costly and they come into play. Tires, tire rotation, repair, truck wash, roadside assistance, all of these things that you need to be prepared for in advance and have an idea of what you're going to do to get yourself out of a jam. Because again, if the wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. And then finally, account or dispatcher. Account manager, where are you going to get the freight from? Are you outside sourcing? Or are you calling people and trying to get them to get you to give you the business? Are you using the load board? What are you doing to be creative to get the business? What are you doing? So that's my number 5 tip, was employees that are required. Last but not least, to get started with a trucking company is insurance. You have to have insurance. Must, it's a must. You must have cargo and liability insurance, along with some additional coverages if you request those additional coverages. But mandatory, you have to have cargo and liability. Now, the limits may depend upon your state. I would advise you to check your local state codes, as well as refer to the FMCSA.gov website. It's pertinent information there. It's very, very valuable information, and that's also your one-stop shop source to getting your authority. So it's definitely a good website to have on board. Also, workers' compensation, depending on how big you're going to grow your company. Should you, if you stay less than 5 in Texas, again, it's not mandatory to have workers' compensation. But again, if you're outside of Texas, make sure you check your local state codes and what they require. Once you do this, you've got a trucking company. You're started. You pretty much can, you're in business for yourself at that point. It's just a matter of you working the business, making the right decisions. Now I'm doing a PowerPoint here. We're also Zooming. So on my Zoom slides, there's also, it's showing right now, Alberto. He's a client of mine. He started his trucking company. He recently moved to a small town in Texas with the hopes of supporting his family. So he decided to get into the business. He works hard, but he was scared of, being a part of the 5% of America's unemployment, which now, due to COVID-19, it's a lot more than 5% of America is unemployed. So where are you going to get your funds from? What are you doing to prepare yourself should this situation ever happen again in the future? Are you ready? Think about it. Then we have another business owner. She's a woman-owned business in the trucking industry. It's very rare. It's not that many of them out there. But she started her business with 2 trucks, 1 trailer, and 2 drivers. And she was able to make over $10,000 within the first 30 days of getting started. So again, some of the tips that she did, she was able to purchase some used equipment to get started from auctions, things like that. So, you have to be creative and think outside of the box in order to be successful, in order to cut costs. So definitely the sky's the limit. You can be as creative as you want to be with this. This is your baby. This is your dream. So think about it as such. Gone are the days of you going to work, punching a 9 to 5, making the man rich, Do those same things. Keep that same work ethic, that drive, that motivation, that reason why you get up every day to go start a business of your own. And again, this business is one of the largest in the world. I mean, right here, it's 50 million miles driven per day. 50 million miles per day. That's more than both populations of California and Texas together, just in miles. So the freight's out there, the money is out there. It's money to be made. It's up to you to make the decision to go out and get it. If you need any other assistance, feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to post those in the link below. Who else is going to invest in you if you don't do it yourself? Again, that's it for me. It's that simple. I mean, we made it short, sweet, convenient, straight to the point for you. Now all you have to do is get started. I mean, that's it. So for more free information, again, over this topic and other relevant operating the business aspects of it, feel free to join our newsletter. Again, we're at Next Level Wealth Academy at gmail.com. We're also at nextlevelwealthacademy.com, where we have a trucking university training there. And along, you can like us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube for other more, important content. Again, 6 steps to start your own trucking company and take you to the next level. Again, we'll see you at the top, and we thank you for joining.